Hello, 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 beautiful unicorns. Yana Kasperczak coming to you live from Ontario, of Canada, as your certified professional performance and spiritual awakening core energy coach. It has been my soul's purpose to help women, to help you get your shit together so you can break free from the mental prison you find yourself in and build a business, life, and or career that you are obsessed with. So to help you get in the flow, get in the zone, and get better at letting things go and not holding on to them, I wanted to bring a topic to talk about today, to discuss, to help you to stop forcing it and let the universe do its thing. Too often we can find ourselves forgetting that the universe is actually always working in our favor. And we just need to GTFO out of the way. and that's why I'm sure all of you know. I'll ask you a question, and I would love to see the answer in the comments. What's stopping you from living the life that you really want? What's really, really in the way of you and the life that you desire and dream of living? Or the experiences that you want to have in your life? Because really, life is all about experiences. Experiences that you're having and enjoying, or wishing you were having and enjoying. So what's really stopping you? Chances are your response is going to be, I'm the one that's in the way. I'm the one that's stopping myself from living the life that I want to live and not allowing myself for reason A, B, C, D, the whole entire alphabet, or maybe 2 times or 3 times the alphabet, that there's many reasons, but all of the reasons why you're not living the life that you want, you're not having the experiences that you want, it really comes down to you and the stories that you're carrying about time, about energy, about feelings and emotions, about money, about relationships, all the different types of stories that you're carrying that fall under the umbrella of life and living. That's what's stopping you. Your stories, your thought process, your way of interpreting the world, your perceptions are yours, and they're your programs, your default programs that are outdated. And in order for you to really trust the universe and really trust that the universe has your back, that everything always has and always will work out in the best way possible, that the best case scenario, that no matter what it is, that it always has an amazing way of working itself out. But in order for you to get there, to get to the place of trusting, fully trusting, it's not the universe that you have to learn how to trust. It's yourself. You got to learn to really trust yourself. So, before we go any further, I just want to remind those of you who might not know this, maybe you're stopping on this video, this podcast, and this is the first one that you're listening to from me. Maybe we just became friends on Facebook or on your favorite platform of the podcast, and this is the first one that you're listening to. I want to mention that on Wednesdays, Anna and I, we host a podcast Heal the Unicorn podcast, and our Facebook group, Heal the Unicorn, Emotional Healing and Spiritual Growth for Women. And the topics that I then have on Thursday for this Get Your Shit Together Weekly Life Guidance with myself, Yana Kasperczak, are connected to the podcast. They are in many ways an extension of the podcast, but they are different. So my goal is always to not repeat myself and not say the same things, but give you more insightful information and knowledge and tools that were not mentioned in the podcast. And the purpose of that is so that way you go and you listen to that podcast and you learn from the both of us. Whereas here, you learn from me and from the flow of the universe. So the first thing that comes to mind for me is how I used to control. Because this is also what it comes down to. It's me learning to trust myself and letting go of control when it comes to, let's say, these live videos. When I started doing live videos, for one, I was a nervous wreck. And the way that my body responds to stress is through the mouth and through the end, right? I just was cleansed from within. So really stressed, and that's so unhealthy for the body, by the way. And I learned that later on. So my way of controlling these live videos was me not trusting myself, and not trusting myself in the way of, I'm going to mess up, I'm not going to say the right thing, I'm not going to know what to say, I'm going to make a fool of myself, really a lot of heavy judgment and not believing in myself and my abilities. With the end result, me wanting to just hop on, have a topic and go and talk about it without any script, without any even talking points. And initially I started with having a whole entire script. I would write out on a piece of paper a whole entire script, and then I would be so panicked that there's way too much words on this paper and I don't want to make it look like I'm reading it. So how do I make it more natural? And really what I was doing is I was practicing a skill that is actually important when it comes to, let's say, creating a course, creating a program, creating certain structured piece of content that I read, but it's not noticeable. But at that time, that was just me trying to control the situation and not trusting the process, because I really wanted to just trust myself that I was more than capable of going on live and not having a clear talking points. Now, do I still have talking points? Many times I do. And then those many times of the many times that I have the talking points, I don't even look at them. I don't even that was a great attempt, Yana, but we're not going to go in that way. Whereas other times there are important talking points because I want to take you from point A to point B or point C and D. So that way I know which one is the first and most important topic to mention or a step to mention, and then we're going to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. So, and at the same time, it keeps me focused and having ADHD as part of my personality, it can be challenging to stay on point sometimes. While other times I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. I trust the universe. I trust the flow. I trust that everything that is meant to come through is going to come through without me having to control. It's like a river. You can't force the river to go fast. You can't really slow it down. I mean, beavers try and the water still finds a way to go through their dam, right? So now, if you really want to trust the universe, you got to learn to trust yourself. And that is a process that is similar to all of us, and yet it is a little different for each and every one of us, because each and every one of us is an entirely different, unique human being that there is no one like you. You have your own way of thinking and processing things and understanding things that I cannot give you my way of thinking and my way of understanding things, because even when I do, you're going to have your own way of applying this knowledge and wisdom that makes sense to you. You have an enormous amount of experiences that you've been through in your life that help you to see and view the world in the way that you do. And as do I, and as do each and every human being in this world. And I can help you understand certain things and certain concepts, but the rest is entirely up to you. Some of you might listen to this podcast for the first time and understand it in one way. And then you go and listen to it second time, the third time, the fourth time, and then you hear different things, you understand different things that you didn't before. While some of you might listen to it and nothing makes absolute sense, and you just see me as this crazy woman who's saying things that simply don't make sense to you. And that's because each and every one of us human beings, we are, I'll call it the spectrum of consciousness, that each and every one of us is at a different spectrum of consciousness and different part of our own personal self that comes to growth and evolution. So, planted the seed, I'll leave it there. Now, when it comes to you really just trusting the flow in the universe, it's not going to happen overnight. It is one foot in front of the other, small little steps, small little tiny baby steps, habits, actions, thoughts, behaviors, the things that you say yes to, that you don't say yes to. It's your lifestyle that's going to bring you there. What you do day in, day out, that will help you to get to where you want to get to. That will help you to get on the higher spectrum, if you will, of the consciousness that you get to reach. Right now, you might be in the beginning stages of your spirit awakening. And what happens in the beginning stages when your spirit awakens, based on my experience and the experience of other women that I have and continue to work with, what happens is that there's a lot of internal chaos and there's a lot of confusion, and there's some clarity, but then there's a lot of unclarity. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of fears. There's a lot of doubts. There's a lot of, the way that I would describe it is, when your spirit awakens, it's almost like it begins to recognize that there is an external world outside of you, outside of the spirit, outside of your body, that you have been programmed to try to control and try to be part of in a really big way, but you simply were not meant to be part of it in the way that you have been programmed. The way that you're meant to be part of this vast universe is to focus on yourself and your own eternal universe, and choose the things that you want to experience and do them, and not put these things off to do in the next lifetime, because that's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the you that you are today. So why put things off that you're meant to enjoy in this lifetime? So what begins to happen is that you begin to awaken, that it's kind of like the Matrix. You begin to awaken and realize that up until now, all you have been is a set of programs that you have accepted unconsciously that have been given to you throughout your whole entire life that are meant to hold you and keep you in your box, in your prison, and that are meant to harm you, that are meant to control you, hurt you, keep you down, and not allow you to live your dreams, to not chase your dreams, to not go after your goals. And you already know this. And that's the part that begins to hurt within. It hurts the soul, it hurts your heart, that you begin to realize just how deep these programs go and how you could have been living your dream life this whole entire time, but if you were essentially born at a different lifetime, different existence, and not the one now where we are constantly being bombarded with these different programs that are keeping us locked in our prisons. And it sometimes might feel like you take 2 steps forward, but 4 steps back. 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And then 2 or 10 steps forward and 1 step back. It is a normal part of the evolution of the soul, because you learn in the steps back. And you get to apply what you have learned and the steps that you take forward. I refer to this as the yo-yo process, and it's important, it's valuable, because you're also strengthening your muscles, your physical muscles, your emotional muscles, your spiritual muscles. You become stronger and tougher, because the point of this process is that so you get to a place where you fully know yourself, like yourself, love yourself, and trust yourself. And when you have that kind of relationship with yourself, only then can you have that kind of relationship with the universe. It's similar to when you really start to understand what love is, and when it comes to the different types of love in your life, right? The people in your life, whether they're your kids, your animals, your partner, your friends, your family members, you have different types of love, but it's still love. And when you really truly understand what love is when you really truly love yourself. The universe that you see outside of you it gets processed through you. You are that universe. And this is a big part of what I talk about, why I use the phrase, get your shit together, because there's so many different moving parts to getting your shit together that we want to have it all, but we can't have it all at once. It's a little bit at a time. Hey, Debbie. Hey, Rebecca. I see the comments in here. Debbie says, loving your hair. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I curled it today. I thought, let me curl it a little bit. Debbie says, I agree. And unraveling. Yes, an unraveling of the soul, of the spirit, and recognizing that there are dark parts of ourselves, which we can refer to as baggage, as the shadow, as, that the stuff that we have put away, and because we were programmed to do that, to not deal with it, to just ignore it, get past things and avoid it because it'll just go away. But we all know it ain't going away anytime soon unless we do something about it. Rebecca says, sometimes it feels like I'm going backwards. We get to learn a lot when we go backwards. I know it sucks and I know it hurts. I still find myself going backwards and feeling like an old version of myself. And I also know why this happens, because see, when we go through life, we experience things. And we experience things through our mind and then through our body. And when we experience certain things through our mind, what happens is then our body becomes conditioned to the things that our mind translates as an experience, and it creates stories. Initially it's thoughts, and then it's stories, and then our body becomes conditioned. And then we are no longer consciously aware of the actual program, of the stories, the thoughts that have been now conditioned into our body. So when, let's say, the winter season comes, or let's say a certain month of the year comes, I'll use an example that many of you can actually relate to, because many of you have lost people you really care about and you love. Whether it's a parent, whether it's a sibling, or whether it's a child, or whether it's a pet. And when, let's say, you have lost them in the month of February, right? We're in February now. Let's say you lost them in February. As the months and weeks and days come closer to the actual date of the loss, you are consciously aware of that date. And so is your body, because you have been through enough of these stories and thoughts that you have gone through from the day that it happened. And you, by continuously going through it day in, day out, your thoughts, your stories, your experiences, the grief that you didn't heal, the things that you wish you did that you didn't do, and all the shoulda, coulda, woulda going through your mind. And it is challenging to turn it off, because this is part of the process. But what ends up happening is that chances are, this is why you're here listening to this as well, continuing to listen and listening to me and follow me perhaps, is because you're beginning to understand this process, that as you're going through day in, day out, you are also not dealing with the actual triggers. You are just thinking and allowing the thinking and your default programming to guide you through this process of thinking, of just getting through the day, but not actually dealing with the root cause, with the actual emotion that you were meant to experience and heal through, so you can let go. But you're continuing to just think. And then when you think this enough, your body becomes that emotion. And if you think a certain emotion for months, for a few months, it turns into a mood. And then if you think about it for even longer than that, and you continue to not deal with it, then it turns into a personality trait. And this is where you might notice that, I know for me, I noticed, or more like the people outside of me would point things out to me. I'm like, no. They would tell me I'm a negative person. People that are closest to me, they would tell me that I'm a negative person, because they really see the true me. Whereas for everyone else, I was doing an amazing job of playing a role of a positive person. So that way I wouldn't bring anyone down, so I wouldn't feel like a burden. So they would like me. So they would want to be my friend. They would want to be close to me. People pleasing. And when I started to really recognize that I actually wasn't positive, that was my coping mechanism. And it was not a healthy one, because I was not dealing with things. I was just saying things, but not doing anything with it. And what happens, as we're going back to this anniversary of the passing of someone that you love and care about, as you're going from day 1, day 2, day 30, day 60, day 300, right? You're now approaching the anniversary. You have been in a mood. You have changed your personality. You have programmed your body in this process to this emotional state. And consciously and unconsciously, you're approaching this anniversary, and your body will begin to respond and react and behave in a certain way that it was programmed to do. It's like the approaching of the pending doom, where that was the day that you lost a piece of yourself, or maybe a really big piece of yourself. And now you have gone through the whole entire year not addressed this loss of yourself, of part of how you even saw yourself when you lose a loved one. Let's say you lost a mother or father. You lose a part of your identity, because part of your identity is who your parents are. When you lose them, you lose a part of your identity. So not taking the time to create or recreate or address this grief, this hurt, this loss of identity, and the loss of a person, you continue going through the cycle of not dealing with it. And then now, how do I bring this back into the conversation for today, for trusting the universe? It becomes really hard to trust the universe because you can't trust yourself, even with your own feelings and emotions, because you're not aware of them. And you're not aware of the programming that is continuing to dictate your 95% of the day and how you're showing up throughout your day in, day out, day in, day out. And if you can't trust yourself, you definitely can't trust the universe. So this is where it becomes quite a bit more challenging. Because what I really am telling you to do here is to change your default programming. To understand your program that makes up you, and there's many different ones, and to put better ones, put healthier ones in there. And what would be the starting point? What is the pain point that you want to address first? Just one part of your life. Is it physical? Is it spiritual? Is it mental? Is it environmental? What part of your existence do you want to address first? Pick one part. And it doesn't, I know the mind might be spinning right now, but it does not need to be anything big or ginormous. You ladies know I love decluttering and organizing. Maybe that's where you would start as well. And it doesn't have to be your whole entire house. It could be just one drawer. And declutter and organize that one drawer. The big audacious goal could be the whole entire house. But you can't do it all in one day. You gotta break that down. So where would you start today? What can you do and complete today? Because I also know one of the things that you want to get in the habit of is finish what you started. Finish what you started, to follow through. Even if the follow through is you recognizing that you don't even want this, so you're not even going to complete, that's how you close that loop, that you don't want to do this. It's not for you, so you move on to the next one. Maybe one of the things that you want to focus on is getting your health back in order. And when it comes to your health, one thing about your health that you want to do, that you want to start doing every single day. Is it going to be going on a walk? Is it going to be making sure you drink the certain amount of water? Is it maybe eliminating sugar, or is it eliminating coffee? What is it going to be? Or maybe it's just simply meditating 5 minutes each and every day. What is it going to be? Maybe it's going to be in the realm of personal development. So when it comes to personal development, what do you want to do with personal development? That means personal development means learning. You're going to learn something new. And then personal growth means you're going to apply what you learn. So when it comes to personal development, what are you going to be learning every single day? What topic, what subject that you're going to learn that will then potentially one day will help you to earn? Because if you look at the word learn and you get rid of the first letter, you're left with earn. So what you learn is what you earn. And you get to decide how you're going to go about it. So what do you want to learn? For some of you, it might be something with arts and crafts. For others, it might be becoming an amazing photographer with maybe a specific thing. I know, for example, Kimberly, you do sunsets. Becoming an expert and a sought after photographer, or what do you call it? I'll call that an artist of getting an image of the most beautiful sunrise or sunset. And Kimberly would be the person to go to. What would you learn in that realm that you could then apply and get better at it? So you get to decide how you want to invest in yourself. This is really what I'm trying to, I guess, get the point across. Investing your time and energy into yourself, and you get to choose how you're going to do that. And you don't need to know entirely where that's going to bring you or how you're going to get there. Just decide of what you want to do that you would really love and enjoy and have fun with, and go and do that. It does not need to be so rigid either. And when it comes to control, we feel like we need to be in control of everything. But we don't. Because when control, another way I would call and refer to control as force. Forcing things to go in a certain way, in a certain direction. And then we will notice that what we feel, it's like a lashback or like a pushback from life or from whatever it is that we are trying to force ourselves to do. So what areas of your life do you recognize that you're forcing yourself to do things? That might be a clear indicator that that's not for you. That maybe it's time to delegate it or do it in a different way, spice it up, have fun with it. Get curious about how would you approach that thing that you're trying to force yourself to do in a different way, or not do it at all. See, maybe there's something else you can do entirely, and remind yourself that control itself is really an illusion, because we cannot control anything. And when we let go of control, we will have less anxiety, less stress and frustration, and we become a creator in this process as well. What else would I add? Honestly, I don't know what else I would add to today, aside from when I'll ask it more so in a question. What do you think happens when you let go of control and surrender? Just think of one area of your life where you realize that you are trying to control it, or trying to control every part and every aspect of it. What would happen if you let go of control and just surrendered to the experience, to the wave of that experience? what would happen? When you stop resisting and stop trusting life, life itself moves with you instead of against you. You feel in the flow. You feel like things are happening for you and not to you. Maybe even pause and address some of the language you're using and recognize where in your life and how in that part of your life are you using the language of this is happening to me instead of for me. Oh, things never go my way. I always have annoying drivers on the road, or nobody sees me or hears me. Because you see those things as they're happening to you instead of for you. So if you saw those things as they're happening for you, how would you approach it differently? How would you deal with it differently versus you seeing and believing that this is happening to you? When you start seeing things as they're happening for you, you see them as opportunities for growth and evolution. And you show up differently. When you see things and experiences that happen in your life that are happening to you, you show up as the lesser version of yourself. I'll call it that. Or you don't show up at all. You go hide and you ignore and you avoid and you become a hermit crab. So which way do you live more? And which way do you want to? Chances are it's the second one that I mentioned that many of you experience more often than not. And you would much rather be in happening for me and learning from it without trying to see the lesson in that shitty experience. I think that would pretty much be it. Is just remembering that life is not linear. Healing is not linear. That nothing is a straight line. Even a straight line is not a straight line. That there's no such thing as A to Z. It's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then B, C, D, and then it's a maze. It's not a straight line. But with help and guidance and support and the right kind of help and guidance and support, that squiggly line in the middle can become less squiggly. And it becomes much more easier, much more effortless to get to the destination that we want to get to. So other than that, the tools that I would share with you to help you to practice letting go, healing, is understand what emotion you're experiencing, why it's there, what's the lesson in it for you, and then don't stay there for too long, because then otherwise you'll become that emotion. And we both know you don't want to be that emotion. You'd rather be a different one. So then decide which emotion you'd much rather experience and embody and be. And then use your imagination or your recollection of the past when you have already experienced that emotion, and sit with those memories or those fantasies. Fantasy is going to be in the future. And actual fantasy can also be in the past if you're using this tool to rewrite the past in a way of you've been through something that you don't recall being so pleasant, and you can rewrite that memory in that moment by reliving it in the way that you wish you had. And this is how miraculous the mind is that it actually rewrites that memory for you, and you might actually end up forgetting the original memory that wasn't so pleasant. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that either. I know some of you be like, no, I want to remember the bad memory because I want to. But what would be the purpose of remembering the bad memory? That when you remember it, you feel bad. When you can rewrite it with a good memory where you can revisit it and you'll feel good. The purpose of life is to feel good and amazing, and not to feel shitty and crappy. And the way that we do that is through our mind and our body. And that is how reprogramming happens. And this is where, when you are right in the cusp of change and evolution, your body, it's almost like it has its spikes in its feet that it stops there. It's like, no, we're not going there. We're not changing because I don't know what's going to happen on the other side. So when you feel that way and you feel that resistance with change, spend a minute or two having that inner dialogue. You can have the dialogue in your mind, or you can write it down in journal. Or maybe you're working with a coach and you can have the dialogue with the coach. The purpose of the dialogue would be to remind you of what's on the other side. And what's on the other side is always going to be much more amazing and better than what's on this other side here right now. So that's all I would say. Other than that, thank you, everybody. I will look through the comments later. Actually, I do see a couple of them. Kimberly says, I'll replay when people are not standing over me with headphones. I know. Sometimes they're listening and it's like, I don't know if I want you to hear this because this feels personal. But at the same time, why not? One of the things I actually used to do with my kids especially is, because I understand the power of subconscious learning. And the power of subconscious learning is when you're playing something in the background and the kids might be watching their own thing or playing, but they're not paying attention to what I'm listening to. But by me playing it out loud, their subconscious mind is always listening. It's always on. And whatever it is that they hear, subconsciously, unconsciously, it goes right in, especially when they were really young. So I would listen to all the programs that I was going through, the podcasts that I was listening to out loud, so they would hear it as well. Even if they don't fully understand it, which they wouldn't at young ages, it becomes one of their core default programs that later on can be very beneficial for them in ways that I wouldn't know and I can't even fully imagine. So sometimes when we're listening to things, other people can listen and hear, and they would hear what is meant for them to hear. So listen out loud and let others listen or not listen. Philomena was on here. Hey, Philomena, nice to see you as well. Philomena says, nice to see you being a leader. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Rebecca says, I try to put it louder so everyone can hear. Yeah, I used to do that as well. And then there were certain things that, let's say I wanted my husband to hear. Hopefully not this, but that I would play it out loud and then he would hear it. And there was a couple of times he's like, you were playing that part on purpose for me to hear, weren't you? No, I wasn't. Yes, I was. And then, of course, other times it wasn't. It just happened to be me listening to something, and something was said, me listening to something for the first time, and it's something that was said, he would hear, or my kids would hear, and I'm like, that was pretty great. But at the same time, the things that I hear and how I hear them and how I interpret them are not the same way that my husband or my kids would, or you would. I just assume that I hear it and understand it in this way, and they will too. But that is not the reality. Right? It's just not the reality, because they have their own way of understanding. They're on their own journey in life. They're going through their own things quietly, silently, that we are not aware of. And they hear something that is meant for them to hear on the path and the part of the journey that they're currently on, that helps them to connect with the universe and awaken their soul and live in peace with the universe and with themselves. So, and then Kimberly says, I wish they're not ready. No one is ready. And it's also us assuming that they're not ready. But if they're hearing it, then that means they're ready. Otherwise, they simply will not hear it. They will not understand it at all, or just not hear it at all. It becomes just white noise. It's just how the universe works as well. Anyways, that's all I wanted to share with each and every one of you. Hope this was a great podcast and a guidance lesson today. I'd love to hear, what was your biggest takeaway after this whole entire conversation of, getting into the flow, trust in the universe, but really comes down to trust in yourself, and with the beginning stages of you knowing who you are, what you are, why you are, what you want, what you don't want, why you want it, why you don't want it, and what are you going to do to get yourself there. And then learning to trust yourself in that process, liking yourself, loving yourself, trusting yourself, and then the universe is you. So when you trust yourself, then you trust the universe. That's it. It's as simple as that. And yet, it's not simple. That's the journey I've been on. And I know it definitely was not simple, but moments it was, and other times it wasn't. But it just becomes easier and easier because you begin to understand the process. And you don't judge the process. You just embrace it. And you feel gratitude for the process, all the ups, the downs, and in betweens. It's like a heartbeat. That's really what life is. How we go through life as well. Until we see each other next Thursday, another one of these Get Your Shit Together weekly live guidance, where I go live at 11:45 a.m. Eastern time on my personal page, or we'll see each other on Monday live in our group, Heal the Unicorn, Emotional Healing and Spiritual Growth for Women, where I do card readings. So have an amazing the rest of your day. We'll see each other next time. And have an amazing weekend. Thank you, ladies, for being on here, and welcome. And hello to all of my new friends. Until we chat again. Bye.